Hello there, and welcome to Health and Science. Today's topic is addiction. So it is said that people generally seek pleasure and avoid pain. This was actually said by the late psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, and this is a good model where we can start from when we are looking into addiction, the pleasure seeking and pain avoidance model. So what is addiction? Because many of us want to watch regularly episodes of our favorite TV show or videos of our favorite YouTuber, but this doesn't necessarily mean you are addicted to TV or YouTube. If the activity starts to take over your life and becomes compulsory, then it might be forming into an addiction. So addiction is a disorder in our brains in which you compulsively seek the rewarding stimulus. That could be, for example, pleasure, despite the harmful consequences. So it might be ruining our life, and we still have to keep engaging in this stimulus, in these activities that cause the pleasure. As the Sigmund Freud said, we seek pleasure, and things that brings us pleasure are various. For example, food, sports and health, as well as drugs or social media, friends, video games and entertainment. And now you have to understand that any of these might be forming into addiction if it becomes too big part of your life. And when it starts to overtake your life, then you know it might be forming into an addiction. Usually we have our willpower to fight against the forming addiction, and we don't let it to take over our life. The brains generate the sensation of pleasure. We have our hormonal activity in our brain which causes the sensation of pleasure. But when the addiction forms, the addiction in a way kidnaps our brain's reward system and ruins it. And this turns into a habit that might be hard to break. So we can divide the addiction into three categories: the physical addiction, psychological addiction and social addiction. And for example, nicotine causes really hard physical addiction, and your body becomes really easily accustomed to nicotine, and it has to get more nicotine in order to push away the withdrawal symptoms. And these can be like nausea, sweating, insomnia, shiver. Then again, we have also the psychological addiction. And nicotine or alcohol can be a source of psychological addiction. We might learn to manipulate our emotions through these substances. For example, when we get nervous, we form a habit to go smoke or have a drink. So the psychological addiction forms this way. And withdrawal symptoms cause mental symptoms like anxiety, lack of concentration, nervousness and bad mood. Then lastly we have the social addiction, which means compulsory need to engage in social activities, for example shopping, social media, MMORPGs or partying. And these also come compulsory, and we have to engage in these when we are socially addicted into them. So now, as your homework, come up with more examples of physical addiction, mental addiction and social addiction. This might be a bit hard, but you have to look from internet for examples. And also think about this: how can you overcome an addiction? So write down your thoughts, and we can start from this in the class.